So here we are. It's December. We're hearing this incredible music. Don't you just love Christmas music? It is so inspiring, and it really brings us into the energy of the truth of the season. Because the season has grown out of recognition of the Christ birthing that happens this time of year within the hearts of each one of us. Out of that has come a major celebration that happens worldwide, and so often the beauty of the Christ message gets lost in the hubbub of parades and parties and shopping and all the fun things that we want to do, we will continue to do, but we need to keep those memories of that Christ birthing and that Christ story, and the real reason why we do the celebration, because it is a birthday party. It's a birthday party that used to last just one day, then it became a month, now it starts in about August. And we've been celebrating ever since. And there's always somebody called an announcer that is urging us to quickly get our lists together and get started, because there's scarcity afoot. What you want may not be in the marketplace in the right size or the right color. So buy now. And you begin to feel that pressure, don't you? I mean, it's everywhere. And somehow in that flurry, that birthing of the Christ gets lost. And so this morning, we are going to celebrate that, absolutely open our hearts to it. We're going to think about it. We're going to put it onto the top of our Christmas list. And we are going to remember, moment by moment, that we are the Christ consciousness. Each one of us, we are taught that as we are birthed into this life experience, we bring with us the Christ of God. It is in our hearts. It is, our souls are anchored in it. And the beauty of that is waiting for us to open up and recognize it and to become the living force of that divine love. So it's kind of a challenge, but it's beautiful. And it's always there, and it's always waiting for us. And the really incredible thing is, it's just not a one-day thing. This is not just a December 25th thing. This is an always thing. We always are this Christ. We always are this beauty and this love and this joy. And as we recognize that, our lives reflect the energy of the creation in a totally different way, and things begin to work for us. And in places where they didn't work before, if we will just take this love, focus on it, bring it into the situation and say, this place, God, this is what I need. This isn't working in my life. But the very truth of the matter is that the infinite presence is absolutely waiting for us. It just waits until we wake up and say, help. I think one of the most powerful prayers that we ever say is help. And when we get to the point in our own receptivity where we can say help, and not have the big outline in our mind how that help has to look, the infinite just opens it up, and that heart energy just flows through us, and everything works. And so that's what we're doing in this month, is to recognize that infinite presence, that love, that energy, the beauty of this life that we're living. And I, for one, and I'm sure you feel the same way, because we keep showing up in this room every Sunday. And that is that we are so blessed. we are so blessed with this magnificent teaching. We call it science of mind. We call it religious science. We call it the truth. But it is very personal to each one of us. It responds to us according to our belief. It manifests in our world in just incredible ways. And our hearts are open to it. And if we stay consciously aware, that beauty just keeps opening up deeper and deeper in our lives. Things get better and better. And what we thought was okay a year ago is so much better now because we're under a law of expansion. You know, that's one of our blessings, is that we are always under a law of expansion. And when we believe, and it starts to manifest in our life, the infinite presence just expands that and expands it and expands it. And it is so beautiful. And that is our Christmas present, really. So, our lovely Reverend Gay is off gallivanting in Europe. Isn't that exciting? I've known Gay for a really long time and watched her grow and blossom into this magnificent leader that she is. And the talks that she gives are so anchored in light, and they're beautiful. And I just thought it was so wonderful that she was taking that light to Europe, of all places, to sing like an angel that she is in Vienna, I believe. And so she will come back with great stories, and this is a gift to her. The universe really is outstanding in the presence that it is bringing her, because she truly lives this teaching. And that's why we come back, because we know that. We feel it. We feel it as we walk in the door. And we feel the essence of everyone else, the energies of everyone else as they come in that door. And the love of God is here. And we just get to revel in it every Sunday morning. And it's great. And I'm so glad that you came to join me this morning. I have a lot of ideas about the Christmas story. And it's a beautiful story. And it's about us. And it's about our awakening. And this morning, as we start really deepening our acceptance of who we are for this coming year, in gratitude for this year, there are just some things I like to share. And so it's fun that she asked me to come in and share them in December. There's a thing called a Christ. And we, as regular people, have just accepted the race consciousness viewpoint of Jesus Christ. And we take that as a whole name. We take that as his name. But it wasn't. His name was Jesus. He came as a master teacher, and he taught us well. If we just are open and listen to what he said and did it, it's just not listening. You have to do it. That's the only catch to this whole teaching of spirituality that we live in, is that you have to do it. It doesn't just, we say, oh, there it is, God's love, and it just pours in and out and through us, and for the rest of your life, there it is, on your doorstep all the time. It doesn't work that way. His teaching is there for us to take and open our hearts to. So it's all a lesson, and we get to do it all the time. And to the amount of acceptance that we have going within us, to open up and listen and act upon that guidance. That Christmas story starts with a star, And the star is our intuition. It's our guidance. We all have it. We all have it all the time. We don't identify it as this wonderful mystical thing that it truly is. The infinite intelligence speaking to us guides us all the time. We start our Sunday mornings with demonstrations. And I have had a master demonstration this year. And I haven't talked about it here because I never could think of the right things to say. But I am so grateful to be in Alpine. I love Alpine. It's the sweetest place. I have always wanted to live in the mountains ever since I was a little kid. Never did, but always wanted to. The closest I ever got to the mountains was La Mesa. But about 3 years ago, my daughter, Linda, who a lot of you have met, told me that they thought it was time for me to start thinking about joining them in a household. Well, I was 3 years ago in a real different place in my consciousness, and I was building the teaching, the curriculum for a seminary, ministerial seminary that Dr. Angelo Pizzello asked me to do. He wanted me to build a curriculum for ministers that were already in the marketplace, because he didn't think, Dr. Angelo founded Emerson Theological Institute. The same time he was founding his institute, I was founding a church in San Diego back in 1983. And we worked together. All of these years, we're still working together, and I just am so blessed to have him a part of my life. And he asked me to create this seminary, so I was busily creating it and growing immensely, because the truth is, love is the basis of our teaching. He just didn't think that it was being studied deep enough, presented enough. And so when Linda presented this idea to me, I was about 20 years single and living alone at that point. My husband had passed away, and I was very happy living in my condo in the Mesa. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I'm independent, and I like it that way, and I don't like having to report to people. You know, I'm going to the grocery store and I'll be back in 10 minutes. I don't like that. So independence is my thing. So anyhow, over the years, the last 3 years, she kept looking for houses anyway. She was looking for a house with 2 master suites so that we could live together, but not on top of each other, you know? And so I didn't pay much attention to it. And every once in a while, she'd find a place and go look at it. And there was always something the matter with it. Well, about this time last year, she had hooked me into going house shopping with her. So by this time, I was thinking that, well, maybe I'd do this. So we started house shopping. And it got kind of funny because we knew what we wanted. We wanted a special place. I was in a condo, they were in a condo. We wanted to be where we had some land, but we didn't know where we wanted to be. And we had to take into consideration my son-in-law, who was working in Mission Valley at the time, and the commute and all of that business. So we couldn't find anything. And for 3 years, this search went on. And then one day, our real estate guy, who we became very well acquainted with all of the journeys we took all over the city together, said that there was this place in Alpine that he thought might answer our needs. So we came up here. Well, it wasn't the house we finally wound up in, but it was beautiful. We thought and thought about that. We almost bought it. But then that just didn't quite do it. And then one day he said, I think I found the place. And got in his car and off we went again for the 1,000th time. And he took us out to this little place in the hills by a lake. I didn't know there was a lake in the hills. Did you know there was a lake in these hills? Well, there was this house at the end of the lake, and it was kind of a fixer-upper. It was a lot of bushes. The owner had passed away. It had just sat there on the market, and the bushes grew, and, you know, the dust dusted, and the ants wandered around in the kitchen. You know how houses are when nobody pays any attention to them? It was like that. But we walked into this house, and it was like its arms just reached out and held us. And it was the funniest thing because it was really kind of beat up. And the living room had a ping pong table in it and a really old beat up kind of a lounge thing and the biggest television set you've ever seen. Huge, big television. And the rest of the house, there was a bed in one room. And I mean, it was just, nobody had fixed it up to sell it. It was not ready for anybody to walk through it. But there was something in the energy of that place. But it was too big. So we walked away, and I'm saying, gee, you know, I'd really like the feeling of that house, but it's too big. And on the way back, in all of our journeys, we had found this great Italian restaurant down the freeway a little bit. You probably know this restaurant. And we would stop, and my son-in-law is an engineer, so he would have notes about everything we went to see. He would have notes. And so we stopped to have spaghetti and go down Adam's notes. And he saw the vision. I'm sitting there with my mind just totally shut. Our minds are interesting how they will shut down on something when it's your good, staring you in the face, and you just say, nope, I'm not doing that. It's too big. So he saw the value in this house and gave us the pitch on all the how wonderful it would be. And he fell in love with the lake and the mountains. And so long story short, there we are at home in this wonderful place, loving it. It's almost getting together. We paid off one group of landscapers yesterday because their part of the landscaping now is done. So now we have to find somebody else to do another piece there's a little building that has to come down, and there's a lot to do yet. But it's wonderful. And God knew where this house was. It knew that I belonged with my kids. And so now we have this house with 3 guest bedrooms. We moved in last March. We have had company every minute since we moved in with these guest bedrooms filled, except for 3 times since we moved in where just the 3 of us have had dinner together. All the rest of the time we have had family just coming and going and coming and going. And some of you were there a couple of weeks ago, and I loved having the energy of this church in my home, and that's going to continue to happen, I hope. But the thing is, this God presence, it knows. It knows where we belonged. And we are just so happy there. It's so delightful to be there. I never want to leave. I never want to go down the hill. I thought, well, it's not very far down to my old stomping grounds, but I don't want to go down there because I like it here. And Spirit knew that. It knew I belonged here. This is the Christ consciousness. It takes care of us. It speaks to us. It knew where we belonged. We didn't know where we belonged, but it knew. And it's so patient. God is so patient. It waits. If we are asking for an answer and we've got so many ideas that are blocking that answer, the infinite presence will wait for you. Opportunities don't just come once. They come and they wait. It's the most beautiful thing because we are all in tune with Spirit. And when we are looking at the Christmas story and we are thinking, here is this babe born in a manger. What does that mean to me? What that means is that this babe is metaphysically is the Christ that was born to humanity's awareness. And it's for you and it's for me and it's always there. And the intuition, the star, the intuition is always there. And it's waiting for us to get our minds open enough that we can hear what it's saying to us. And so often, it's so different than what we start out for, what we start out thinking that we're going to do. I put together, I don't know how many talks for this morning. It had nothing to do with my demonstration of my house. And here I am telling you about how this God presence took care of us. And we are living in this beautiful home, and it's heaven on earth. Because here we are in a community that is so beautiful. We are surrounded by the most incredible beauty that we're calling our front yard, which is a little bitty lake that is absolutely exquisite. My son-in-law has been out hunting for the right canoe because it's just the right size for a canoe. First thing he bought for the lake was paddle boards. So they're like surfboards, but you stand on them and paddle. So we have 3 of those in our garage. No cars yet in the garage. Too much stuff in the garage, but we have 3 paddle boards in there. And now he's hunting for a canoe because his heart is open and he's loving living in this place. Linda is loving living in this place. We've acquired a dog, a pit bull. Very sweet. Little pit bull. Little pit bulls are kind of big. and they're solid muscle. And you just don't want her to bump into you because if she is going from here to over there, you better get out of the way because that's where she's going. And she will push you out of the way. But she will turn around and give you a kiss and be thrilled to death if you're going to take her for a walk. So here we are, all of us together, because Spirit said yes to an inner desire. And I'm thinking, how could it have been more perfect? It couldn't have. It could not have been more perfect. And so now for Christmas, we have a whole string of people that are coming in. We're starting in Christmas next weekend because we have to have this grandchild and great-grandchild come this because in Santa Barbara they're doing their thing on Christmas Day. Adam's mom is coming out from Boston. She's going to be with us for 3 weeks. I mean, we've got company coming. Never had that before. Never had this. It's a whole new era in our family. And I wish that for you. And as I look at this story called The Birthing of the Christ, and one of the major people in that story is Herod. You know, Herod was a part of Jesus' life. And Herod is metaphysically, it represents the ego. We all have some Herod in us. And we get to battle that in us because our egos feed off of negativity. We all know that, but we kind of forget that they're working on us. And it's our egos that get afraid. They get afraid really easy because they are stirring up that kind of energy in us. They are the part of us that gets mad. Somebody did something we don't like and we get mad, and so here's the ego just there. And when the news that Jesus was born, Herod just went nuts because he was a very young ruler at the time. He didn't know how to hang on by being a leader. He had to hang on by killing anybody that got in his way. He was not a nice person, but he represents the ego. Christ consciousness, on the other hand, is birthed in the beauty and in the joy and the love of the light and the love of the guidance. I want you to have this guidance. I want it to be always there for you. And the love energy that is so beautiful, that is taught over and over again in so many ways, is that energy that is always the light overcoming the darkness. Always. And so this December, what I want for you to do, I'm doing it myself, is I want you to give yourself a present. Have you all, I know, it's probably, I'm the only person here that hasn't made a gift list yet, probably. You probably a lot of you probably already have all your gifts bought and wrapped up and sitting under a tree.
I keep on making more gifts lists than need. I keep on making gifts lists and revise over and over again. That's how I always, isn't that good? No, no. I'm guilty of charge. Check it twice. Sorry.
Well, that's really a good thing because we're open, we're accepting, we're ready. And this thing that I want you to do with me, I think is so important. And it is giving yourself a present. I want each one of us in this room to give us a present and to give ourselves the present of love. Will you do that? Will you give yourself, I want you to write your name on the top of your list, underneath the title of your list that says Christmas presents. Put your name first. And I want you to give yourself the gift of love. About 3 weeks ago, I ran into a Herod experience in myself. I don't do that very often anymore. Once in a while I do it. And I was in conflict with a person that kept telling me what to do. And I couldn't just shed it. There's this Herod reaction in me that says, I'm going to get this person if he doesn't quit telling me what to do. And he wouldn't quit telling me. And so I was awake in the middle of the night, and I could not shed this thing. And he was right. The problem was what he was telling me was right. I knew I should be doing it. Didn't like to be told the way I was being told. And so I decided I was awake long enough. Now I have to open up, get out of bed, get a book. Didn't matter what book it was. Just get a book, read so I could get back to sleep. And so I walked over to my bookcase and I pulled a book. And it's this little book. And I love this little book. I've had it for years. And it's a little book called The Prospering Power of Love, and it's written by Catherine Ponder. You probably all have Catherine Ponder in your library. If you don't have this little book, you might want to wrap it up and put it under the tree for yourself for Christmas, because it's a fabulous little book. And it will tell you how to take the power of love and put it into affirmative words. Feel those affirmations, the affirmations that open you up to what you want, not what you don't want. I think Christmas and the Christ consciousness is telling us, open up, live, do, be what you want. Don't energize what you don't want. The affirmations in this book are great. They're simple. Catherine Ponder was a writer. She was famous when I found religious science, which was back in 1960. And I started studying Catherine Ponder because I found in her work answers for me. And in this book, there are story after story after story about how divine love, which is the healing, creative power, works in everybody's lives. And so I want you to, if you don't have this book already, give yourself a present. It's a fabulous little present. If you have a book that already has affirmations in it that work for you, get it out, use it. If you can't find an affirmation that works, write it. Write a bunch of them until one just resonates for you. But what I did was, in the middle of the night, I got out my journal, and I, as I would come to an affirmation, I would write it down in my journal. So now I have a list of love affirmations that I can use in the middle of the night. I don't have to get up and go search for another book because I already have the list of affirmations. But this is my Christmas present to me. And there's one little affirmation in here that is so powerful that I thought, this is my gift to you. This was given to her, and the story that goes with it is about a business. It was used as a prosperity affirmation. And this is it. Love melts situations that seem impossible. Is that not a great affirmation? If you're sitting there with something like I was in the middle of the night with my mind going around and around because this guy is trying to get me to do something that would be for my betterment, but I'm mad at him and I can't get rid of the mad. But I can sit and say, love melts situations that seem impossible. And I did this, and I spent some time in the night saying this over and over and over to myself. The next morning, I had a conversation with this guy, and he never mentioned one more time what he was trying to get me to do, and so, of course, now it's done. So, anyway, love, it needs to be your answer. Love is the message of Christmas. Love is a beautiful message of Christmas. That we are the Christ consciousness in expression is our gift of God. It's beautiful. We've heard all about it in our wonderful music this morning. It's there, it's waiting for us. And if we will take this gift and give it to ourselves, really give it to ourselves and really use it, this time next year we will be saying, you know what, I'm going to give myself the gift of love again. Because this year has been so great, I'm going to make it even greater next year. Because the power of love heals everything. Our health, our prosperity, our relationships, our creativity. It's beautiful. It is the answer. The answer of the baby in the manger. It is the answer of the light, the star that guides us. It is. It is the presence of God within our hearts that opened to this wonderful energy that say, I love you. You are my beloved child. in whom I am well pleased. And we say, yes, thank you. Thank you, beloved. So let's just, for a moment, there's one little thing in here I'm running over, but I have to read this to you because it's important. And it's a little essence that was about, from the words of Emma Curtis Hopkins. Those of you that have been studying know Emma well. And this is what she had to say. Many years ago, Emma Curtis Hopkins gave some financial advice along the line of succeeding through love. When she wrote, "Take your business as it is and praise divine love that there is a strong, wise way out of any dilemma. When there is such a need, affirm, I praise divine love that there is a strong way out of this dilemma." Isn't that an interesting way to write an affirmation? Make your affirmation say what you want. In all phases of life, love is a success power. Many people who are seeking a balanced life have found this prayer helpful. Divine love, expressing through me, now draws to me all that is needed to make me happy and my life complete. Is that not beautiful? To begin every day with that, to end every day with that. It's just the most beautiful thing. Whatever you need in life may be, whatever your need in life may be, love is the answer. You do not have to look outside yourself for love. Begin releasing it from within your own thoughts and feelings, and you will attract to you whatever people, situations, and conditions are for your highest good. Truly, and this is her affirmation for us, you walk in a charmed circle. You walk in the charmed circle of God's love, and you are divinely irresistible to your highest good now. And this is the prospering power of love. So thank you, my friends. Thank you.